All right, so this audio is significantly better than the other options, and this is the first time that I'm utilizing a computer to record this. By no means is this going to be broadcasted or published, but I'm also discovering and kind of tinkering with a lot of features and whatnot, trying to incorporate them in every facet of my art. Since, as the four agreements like to say, we are light perceiving light and a mirror, and our job as humans is to not only perceive light, but to reflect the light outwards that we have inwards. When they say the answers that we need are all inwards, they really do mean it to some extent. I don't know what it means, and I don't know where I'm going with this, but let me start off by introducing the main theme of this. Actually, let me start off by saying it's been a while. I hope that all of you are doing swimmingly. I hope that everything is going stellar. And if not, then I hope that you're discovering lessons through your darkness right now. And if your darkness is not permitting you to learn anything, then I apologize. And it's hard from someone, it's always hard to tell someone who's on fire that it'll pass because to the person who's burning, it doesn't necessarily feel like they are. However, to the ones who have gotten through and gotten to the other side, commendable. But is there ever really another side? Do we ever really stop climbing the mountain? Okay. Beyond that, that's not what you're here for. You're here for an update. And to all of my friends that may listen to this, I have returned to the city that once harbored me, and the city that once harbored me, the city that my sperm swam in and eventually came to fruition in. The life that nurtured me is here, and the environment that nurtured me is right where I am right now. So I'm back, and I hope that everyone's having a great Christmas break. To all those that are away for Christmas break and enjoying themselves back home, I hope that everything looks a little bigger, and that it looks more grand, and that it doesn't look smaller and diminished. To elaborate on that, I'll utilize Darius because Darius gave me the privilege of being able to visit the three schools that he attended, and each time he said that everything looked smaller. Uh, and I say this because as I returned back to the city that I call home, I guess everything didn't look smaller; it just began to move faster. I began feeling overwhelmed by seemingly insignificant things, by people moving, by sounds. It wasn't overstimulus because I'm accustomed to it, but it was weird because I felt like for the first time, home felt like a house. I felt out of place. I felt like everything was whizzing by. I felt like I didn't recognize the city anymore. I felt like the city didn't recognize me anymore. I'd gotten accustomed to a certain pace. I guess the city. I left the city behind and how fast things move. I've been in secluded areas in a bubble to some extent for a while. Abilene Christian University is in Abilene, Texas. Abilene, Texas is a small, secluded town away from society, seemingly away from anything that we deem home. Well, to some it's home, but it just, I'm not saying it doesn't move as quickly, but it's definitely pretty sequestered. Dania Beach, Florida. Dania Beach is considerably secluded. It's kind of away from society in a sense. And even when I was at NSU, it's a bubble. It's a legitimate bubble. Things move fast and whatnot, but it's kind of like a conscripted pace. I don't think conscripted is the right word. It's an organized speed, organized chaos. It's a slow, fast pace. So regardless if things move fast, you kind of have an idea. So there's some certainty to it. Whereas the speed of a city life, like Toronto, things whizzing by you, there's no paradox there. It's just well, to me, from a person who is now seeing the city from a kind of foreigner reacclimating to his environment perspective. And it's weird because there's no, that they say there's a method to the madness. There's really no method. And being able to be blessed to look below from above from an airplane, and being able to see the beauty of the formation of each individual, the traffic, the red lights. And it's funny because it reminds me of that lyric from No Church in the Wild. I think Frank Ocean said, human beings to a mob, what's a mob to a king? What's a king to a god? What's a god to a non-believer? And it was actually, I just listened to it, but now I think of it, those vehicles to me from an onlooker from above are merely ants to Sonder, right? Sondering, looking at each person and understanding that each of them have individual lives and dreams. But to them, they see the plane and it's merely, what am I to them? They are an ant to me, but to them, I am also of no significance. They don't know me, I don't know them. And I guess That's kind of beautiful perspective, and understanding the minimal to those who are prideful. Honestly, if you just want to understand how small you are to some extent, and I don't mean to diminish your essence. I mean, if you want to get an idea of just how much you contribute to the grand ordinance of things, you just have to be blessed enough to go on a plane and understand that those people that you see as small, those people that you see whizzing by you as you go along in the clouds, are you. You are them and they are you. And you are all a reflection of one another in this grand dance that we call life. So, in doing so, and coming back to the city and kind of seeing things just move, it it hit me like bricks, bricks. The bricks that I throw up when I play basketball didn't even hit me that hard. This was bad. I've never felt like I was a stranger to my city, and it never felt like it. Walking around Union Station with luggage the same size as my mom, walking around with luggage, which luggage signifies, well, to some extent, new beginnings, but also transporting a life that you once had to a life you will have. It's like a gateway to some extent, and I've never had that gateway in Toronto. It's always been Toronto. Toronto has always been home, and it's just weird. Today, I don't even know if this will go up publicly, but if it does, and if I see fit that it does, because I am probably just rambling, and I don't think anybody will be too intrigued by these ramblings, or maybe I've just lost the assurance in my own voice and finding it in this city with a big voice. I guess I put myself in situations where I'd allow myself to be a big fish in a small pond. To It's like the Malcolm Gladwell book, I think, David and Goliath. I feel like David right now, and if you read the book, you'll understand that David may have had more of an advantage than one would think. A slingshot with a rock propelled at that speed is basically like a gun, a bullet out of the barrel. He had more of an advantage than he thought, and he also had God. So he really had. Is he really the Goliath? I don't know, but Toronto feels like a Goliath to my David, and without the story that I just referenced, that put David in the Goliath spot. I mean this in the face value, looking at it literally. Toronto is the giant, and there's no hope that I have of taming it. And I'm not saying that I ever did tame it. A major reason why leaving the city was something that I didn't want to do was because I felt like I betrayed it. And I know it's weird to say that at the age I am, but I lived here 17 years, went to Florida, made a decent impact, I would say, nothing significant. Then I went to Abilene, made a somewhat okay impact, nothing significant in the time that I was there. And then I come back and I'm curious because I don't want to do Toronto a disservice. I've done every place that isn't home. I mean, like physical birthing home place. You always want to do a service to your home and never forget where you come from. And I feel like in the time that I've left, I've not only become a foreigner to the city that once loved me, but become a foreigner to the city that I once loved. I began to look at it with resent. I began to look at it from a lens of hate. Began to look at it from a perspective of not being nurtured. I go away and I'm finally nurtured or prioritized or given all the tools that I needed that I knew that I wanted here but wasn't given to succeed. Like the people who knew me for 4 months saw more in me than you who knew me for 17 years. And that's kind of how I felt about my city. And then coming back, it's kind of like, what's that Thanos quote? And where does it bring you? Right back to me. I kind of feel like that. And I know I have to get over that because it's probably not that deep, nor is it that big of a deal. But I really don't want to do a disservice to this city that I've found so much love in, fostered so much love in, fostered so much creativity, and not creativity for my own, but viewing creativity. Toronto is so beautiful, and to anybody who cannot understand or comprehend the beauty of Toronto, I think all it takes is to just there's a little bit of a strip between like on Bay Street. It's and I know Bay is pretty big, so let me narrow it down. There are condominiums called 1001 Bay Street, and if at just the perfect weather at night, you just walk that strip from 1001 Bay Street, the front entrance, right? And you walk out and you walk in the direction of a 7-Eleven, and you start walking until you get to Bay Station. No matter what side, you can walk on the Indigo side, or you can, where there is an Indigo on the right side, or you can walk on the left side. It's beautiful. The lights, the city, just stopping and getting to look and get a feel of your environment, smell the smells, see the sights. And I guess everybody could say this about their own city, but I guess home never left me. That's what I'm trying to say. Although I had felt like it had abandoned me, or that it changed, or that it left me, I guess it never did. I guess I still feel that same longing for home that I can't explain. Oftentimes I used to feel a longing for things that were unexplainable, things that were transient of where I'd been, that were inexplicable. I'd never been there. How can I long to be there? But yet this longing that I had for so long was actually the longing that felt fulfilled as soon as I touched down and got to walk through Union Station. And it's so weird. I got to see these people that I recognized at one point who looked at me, who didn't really recognize me at all, which was kind of nice because anybody who knows me knows that I've been identified often with my hair. And not a lot of people from Toronto listen to this because they don't know the me that you all who listen to this know. Um, the Nisi that the the me that Nisi knows is not the me that my a Cameron Lau would know. The me that Alida Tobias knows is not the me that Sydney Beasley would know. So like the creativity and the spirit that you see fostered in Florida or in Texas is not the me that they saw in Toronto. And that's kind of why I resented Toronto to an extent, because I started to blame everything on it. Like 17 years, took 4 months to do more than, but I've already gone over that. But we're back, and I really hope to not do this city a disservice, to not do myself a disservice. I have the perfect song for this. But for now, I'm going to stop the recording and check the audio and make sure that it's somewhat feasible, because a longing for home is something we can never get rid of. May everyone who's at home right now, despite what or circumstances they may be enduring or hardships that they may be overgoing. Anyway, I hope that you can look at your city and find some beauty in it, even if there's no beauty to look around and see. I understand that characterizing life from a beautiful stance is a privilege and a blessing, and one that I should be thankful for and am, because I can look outside and see the beauty from the inside. I can look for my place of safety, my place of I don't know, air condition from this bed, this pillow, and understand the beauty of it. Not everyone has that opportunity, and this, by no means this going out to that demographic, but I'm just saying, yeah.